Hi everyone, my name is Udit. This is the fifth video in a short video series on how to crack portfolio review interviews when applying for product designer roles. Today's topic is which questions to expect in the portfolio review Q&A. For context, the previous video was a set of tips on the voiceover part of the portfolio presentation, and this advice applies to pretty much all product designer roles across all major companies. So it's product designers in Facebook, UX designers at Amazon, user interaction designers applying to Google, and loads of other roles in Lyft, Apple, Tesla, Microsoft and the like. You should all find this video useful. As a quick introduction, I'm from Prepfully. We offer anonymous mock interviews that help you get interview practice. You can practice for free with other candidates, or you can practice with coaches who've been helping tons of other candidates like you. We've got a ton of coaches who probably actually worked at companies you might be interviewing for, so companies like Microsoft, Lyft and the like. And in the context of this video, they're also the ones who helped us put together content for this video. Good then, to the Q&A questions then. There are broadly two types of questions which are asked. The first is clarifying questions and the second is deep dive questions. So clarifying questions, the first type, are the sort that usually come up if either you've missed a critical piece of context that your interviewer or panel thought was important, or if they just didn't understand something that you might have presented, which means they often come as interruptions in your presentation. My recommendation is to kind of take them on the fly and not push these answers to the end if this happens. And a few examples here, and the reason I'm proposing this is because questions could be of the sort that can be easily and quickly answered and are really important context for the rest of your presentation. So for instance, how long did this project last? Or who else was involved in this? Were you the only designer working on it, or were you part of a team? And the like. The second type is deep dive questions. In these questions, your interviewers are trying to dig deeper into the work that you've been presenting and extract insights that they can then evaluate against the role that they are hiring for. For instance, you could be asked what your experience working with sales in a particular project could have been. On the flip side, for a senior or leadership role, you could be asked questions on how you adapted your organization to changes in requirements or in the larger company. For questions such as this, if they're asked mid-presentation, I recommend being really careful and deliberate with whether you choose to answer them on the spot. Always handle them respectfully, but also keep in mind that you've got tons of content that you might still have left in your presentation. So you don't want the tangent of answering a question to hijack the entire presentation. It could always be viable to say, hey, I'll get to this in 3 minutes, or I'll take this question at the end because I'll be presenting stuff that's going to partially answer it. Or if it's totally unrelated, then you might want to just attack it right away, wrap it up, get it out of the way, move on to the rest of your presentation. But then in that circumstance, absolutely keep track of the time you spend answering that question. Having said that, there are 3 deep dive questions that I would recommend explicitly preparing answers for upfront before you actually get into that live presentation. Question number 1, what would you do differently if you had the chance to do this all over again? In this question, your interviewer is trying to understand if you retrospected on the entire experience, either by yourself or with the team, and extracted learnings from it that you can then apply to future work. It's also pretty much an assessment of your critical thought process and to see how self-aware you are, and if you acknowledge that there's nearly always room for growth and improvement. Question number 2, what was the biggest challenge you encountered while working on this project? Or a similar but different question, which of your projects did you find the most challenging? Your interviewers are looking for a couple of things here. First, what you define as challenging and why. Second, how you approach this challenge and what you took into consideration when approaching it. Third, what your outcome was and how it improved you as a product designer. So the underlying content actually matters far less in answering this as much as how you answer it and whether you cover these components. It's really important to demonstrate the growth you gained from this experience. Question number 3, what would you change if you could scale this more effectively? Your interviewer here is looking for your ability to think about scale in the context of design. And scale here could mean a lot of things. Scale could be you have 100x or 1000x more users. It could be around having a lot more time or more budget or more resources to support you. From what we've heard from candidates, this question is particularly popular at big tech companies like Facebook, Amazon, and the Googles, because scale is just so important there, and the dynamics of doing product design where scale is a must-have can be pretty different from that in companies with like the tens or hundreds or even the thousands of users. A good example is what might be an edge case in a startup becomes just too large to ignore in a big company with billions or even millions of users. Similarly, budget and resourcing are often far less of a constraint, especially in well-funded projects. So your interviewers are keen to understand if you can operate in an environment where there are just different but fewer traditional constraints. Right then, that's all for this video. If you think practicing for these sorts of questions could be helpful, we've got coaches from Apple, Facebook, Microsoft and the like, and a number of other companies in fact, who'd be more than happy to put you through that exercise and give you feedback. It's really useful to kind of see what sort of tangential questions they could come up with and getting yourself that practice to help you deal with them on the fly, because that's pretty much what happens in a real interview. And if you just want to practice these sorts of Q&A with other candidates, we've got free tooling for that, so please absolutely do take advantage of it. I've included both links in the description below. If you have follow-up questions about any of the questions I've mentioned here or any of the topics I've discussed today, please ask in the comments and I'll try to respond to them. If you found this video useful, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Good luck and thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching the video. If you liked it, please subscribe. Our website is prepfully.com. We've got lots of interview questions there. You can also schedule a mock interview with one of our experts. You can find the link in the description below. All the best from us at Prepfully, and we hope you totally rock your interview.